Here's something that's going to make a lot of you genuinely uncomfortable. The woman who loved you the most is probably already gone. She walked out of your life. And the truly painful part, you didn't even realize she was in love with you while she was standing right there. Not because she hid it, not because she played games, but because you, like the vast majority of men walking this earth, have been conditioned to be emotionally illiterate when it comes to reading a woman's heart. And before you click away thinking this is another soft, recycled list of cute little signs she likes you, let me stop you right there. This is not that video. This is the video that's going to force you to confront something deeply uncomfortable. Why you keep missing what's right in front of you. And honestly, a lot of you are going to resist what I'm about to say. Some of you might even get angry. Good. That means it's working.
Hi, and welcome to Love and Logic, a space where we break down relationships with both heart and clarity. Whether you're single, dating, or healing, this channel is for you. My name is Olivia. There's a comfortable lie that men have been repeating for generations. It sounds something like this. If she really liked me, she'd just come out and say it. Sounds perfectly rational, doesn't it? Sounds fair. Sounds like something any reasonable human being would expect. But here's the massive, glaring problem with that logic. Love is not rational. Attraction does not follow a straight line. And women do not express deep emotional attachment the same way men have been taught to expect it. Most men are sitting around waiting for some grand cinematic confession. They want her to grab them by the collar, stare deep into their eyes, and deliver a tearful monologue about how she can't live with them. And because that theatrical moment never materializes, they assume she's indifferent. Meanwhile, and this is the part that should haunt you, she's been screaming her feelings through every single action, every sacrifice, every quiet gesture, every rearrangement of her entire life. And he's standing right there, completely deaf to all of it. Nobody wants to admit this, but most men don't actually struggle to find love. They struggle to recognize it when it's already in their hands. And that distinction is everything.
Here's the harsh truth that dating coaches and relationship influencers won't tell you because it doesn't fit neatly into a carousel post. A woman rarely falls for you in one dramatic moment. It is not a light switch. There's no single event, no thunderbolt, no Hollywood slow motion sequence. It's a slow, deliberate burn. And because it's gradual, it reveals itself through behavioral shifts, not verbal declarations. If you're sitting around waiting for the words, you will miss the entire emotional transformation unfolding right beneath your nose. And this is precisely where most men completely fail. They're so hyper-focused on what she says that they become totally blind to what she does. So let me plant this in your mind, and I need you to never forget it. Words are cheap. Behavior is expensive. A woman who is genuinely falling for you will pay with her time, her energy, her vulnerability, her comfort zone, and her emotional reserves. These are not unlimited resources, and she is choosing, consciously or not, to spend them on you. If you don't know how to read those investments, you will bankrupt the most valuable relationship you've ever had before it even gets off the ground. Now, let me break down exactly what these behavioral shifts look like, and pay close attention, because I guarantee at least 2 of these are happening right now in your life, and you're sleepwalking right past them.
But before I get into the signs themselves, I need to address something deeper. Why do men consistently fail to read these signals? Because if we don't address the root, the list won't help you. There are 3 core psychological reasons. First, ego protection. Most men would rather assume she's not into them than risk believing she is and being proven wrong.
The terror of rejection is so deeply hardwired that the male ego would rather live in willful ignorance than face even the possibility of embarrassment. It's a defense mechanism running on autopilot. Your ego is literally standing between you and emotional reality, and you don't even know it's there. Second, emotional conditioning. From childhood, a staggering number of men are trained to suppress emotional intelligence. Don't be soft. Don't read into things. Don't overthink it. And so they don't. They grow into fully functioning adults who can analyze a spreadsheet, break down a sports play, read a stock chart, but cannot read the emotional temperature of the woman sitting 2 feet away from them at dinner. That's not strength. That is a handicap disguised as masculinity. Third, and this one is going to sting, comparison bias. Men subconsciously compare real women to the idealized, curated versions they've absorbed through movies, music, social media, and frankly, unrealistic expectations. They're expecting love to arrive with the dramatic soundtrack and perfect lighting. But genuine love doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It shows up quietly, consistently, in the mundane details of daily life. And if you're only calibrated to notice the spectacular, you will completely overlook the woman who was your steady ground.
All right, let's get into the first sign that most men blow right past without a second thought, and it's hiding in plain sight, embedded in her language. When a woman starts replacing I with we, that is not a casual grammatical shift. That is an identity merger. Psychologically, she is dissolving the boundary between her individual self and the unit she's constructing with you. This is not small. This is monumental. She's no longer saying, I want to check out that new place. She's saying, we should go try that restaurant. She's not saying, I've been thinking about getting away. She's saying, we need a vacation. That tiny, almost invisible 2-letter word, we, carries enormous psychological weight. She is literally rewriting her internal narrative to include you as a permanent fixture. She is editing the story of her life, and she's writing you into every future chapter. And what do most men do when they hear this? Absolutely nothing. They don't catch the shift. They don't register its significance. It floats right past their awareness like background noise. But I'm telling you, if she's consistently speaking in we, she has already mentally committed. The merger has happened in her mind. The only question remaining is whether you're awake enough to meet her there, or whether you're going to let that invitation expire unanswered.
Here's the second sign, and this one carries serious weight. When a woman begins treating your problems as her problems, not because you demanded it, not because she's obligated, but because she genuinely cannot sit idle while you're struggling, that woman has crossed a threshold. She has fallen, and you need to understand the gravity of that. I'm not talking about someone who sends a generic, hope your day gets better, text and moves on with her afternoon. I'm talking about the woman who rearranges her entire schedule because your voice sounded different on the phone. The woman who shows up, physically, emotionally, without being asked, because she sensed something was off. The woman who will sit on a call with you for hours, listening to you process stress about your career, your family, your fears, things she has zero personal stake in, and she stays on the line anyway. She stays because your peace of mind has become her personal priority. And here is where I need every man watching this to hear me very clearly. That kind of emotional labor is not free. It is extraordinarily expensive. It costs her time she'll never get back, energy she could have spent on herself, and emotional bandwidth that has a limit. She is choosing to spend those finite resources on you. If that isn't love in its most tangible form, I genuinely don't know what qualifies. But here's the part that makes my blood boil. Most men will receive this kind of devotion and treat it like it's standard, like it's owed to them. They'll drain her emotional reserves dry and never once think to replenish them. And then, when she finally leaves, running on empty, they'll look stunned and say, I never saw it coming. Yes, you did. You just refused to look. This next one draws a sharp, undeniable line between a woman who merely enjoys your company and a woman who has genuinely fallen for you. And the difference is this: a woman who likes you will plan Saturday night. A woman who loves you will plan your future. There is a canyon of difference between those two things, and most men can't tell them apart. When she starts referencing events that are months away, sometimes even a year out, and she slots you into those plans as though it's the most natural, obvious thing in the world, this woman is not being casual. She is not making idle conversation. She is mentally constructing a life architecture, and your name is embedded in the foundation. She's already researching the trip for your birthday that's 4 months away. She's mentioning the holidays and what we are doing. She's referencing cities she wants to live in, experiences she wants to share, milestones she wants to reach, and you are present in every single frame of that vision. And here's what most surface-level advice completely misses. This is an act of extraordinary emotional courage, because every time she builds a future plan around you, she is placing a bet. She is pushing her chips to the center of the table and trusting that you are not going to stand up and walk away from the game. That is vulnerability wearing the disguise of logistics. And if you cannot recognize it for the gift that it is, you frankly do not deserve to be included in her blueprint. Let me explain something about women and their social circles that the overwhelming majority of men fundamentally misunderstand. A woman's inner circle is not just a collection of friends who grab brunch together. It is a tribunal. It is an advisory board. It is a panel of judges with veto power. And when she brings you into that arena, she is submitting you for approval, which means she herself has already approved you first. If her closest friends know your name, your background, your habits, and how she makes her feel, understand something, my friend. She has been building your case behind closed doors. She's been advocating for you in conversations you'll never hear. She's been defending your character in the court of her most trusted confidants. And that does not happen with someone she's indifferent about. That level of social integration only happens with someone she's dead serious about. But here's the flip side, and this is where it gets uncomfortable for some of you. If she has never introduced you to a single friend, if after weeks or months you have never met anyone from her world, if you've never been invited to a group dinner, a birthday gathering, any shared social event, I need you to wake up immediately. You are not her partner. You are her placeholder, and there is a devastating difference between the two. Sit with that. Now, equally important, when she starts showing genuine curiosity about your circle, wanting to meet your friends, asking about your family, trying to understand the people closest to you, that is not intrusion. That is emotional due diligence. She is mapping the ecosystem that built you. Because a woman falling in love doesn't just want to understand you in isolation. She wants to understand your entire world. The influences, the dynamics, the inside jokes, the history. She's reading the footnotes of your life. And that level of interest only comes from someone who intends to stay in the story permanently. This one right here, this is the sign that genuinely breaks my heart to talk about, because this is the one most consistently ignored, most aggressively taken for granted, and most likely to quietly destroy a good woman's spirit when it goes unacknowledged. I'm talking about the small things, the invisible, thankless labor of love, the acts of devotion that arrive without announcement, without expectation of applause, without a single request for recognition. She remembers exactly how you take your coffee, not because you quizzed her, but because she was paying attention the first time you mentioned it. She folds your clothes while you're in the shower. She grabs something from the store because it reminded her of you. She sends you a random article about a topic you mentioned once, 3 weeks ago, because she was genuinely listening when the rest of the world wasn't. She reorganizes your chaotic desk because she can tell you've been overwhelmed. She makes your plate before hers. She notices when your energy shifts and asks about it before you even have the language to describe what's wrong. These aren't grand, sweeping, romantic gestures.
These are the fingerprints of authentic love, pressed into the margins of your everyday life. And here's the devastating pattern I've seen over and over again. Most men have been conditioned to only recognize love when it's loud, when it's dramatic, when it's performative and public. But real love, the kind that actually sustains a life together, that love is quiet. It operates in silence. It reveals itself in the details no one else would bother to notice. And if you are only calibrated to respond to explosions, you will completely miss the woman who was your warmth, your shelter, your constant. Nobody wants to hear this, but it's the truth. Most men don't lose extraordinary women because of something terrible they did. They lose them because of everything they failed to notice. And by the time they finally open their eyes, she's already closed the door.
And now, here's the one that almost no one talks about, because it requires a level of emotional intelligence that, frankly, most people haven't developed yet. When a woman opens up to you, genuinely, fully opens up about her fears, her past trauma, her insecurities, the parts of herself she hides from everyone else on this planet, she is handing you a loaded weapon and trusting you with everything in her to never pull the trigger. That is not casual conversation. That is sacred ground. And the moment you violate that trust, whether by leaking her secrets to your friends for entertainment, by throwing her vulnerability back in her face during an argument, or by dismissing what she shared as if it didn't matter, you have not simply broken her confidence. You have confirmed her deepest, most terrifying suspicion that she was right to never trust anyone in the first place. And I want to speak directly to the men who have done exactly this. You know who you are. She told you something in the quiet of the night, something raw, something she'd never said out loud before, and you treated it like casual gossip. You shared it, you weaponized it, you made her regret the most courageous thing she'd ever done. And then you stood there confused when she shut down, confused when she stopped talking, confused when she finally walked away. But she didn't leave because she stopped loving you. She left because you made love feel fundamentally unsafe. And that is a wound some women never fully recover from. So, what does an emotionally intelligent man actually do when he recognizes these signs? I'll tell you what he doesn't do. He doesn't lean back smugly and think, "Great, I've secured her. Now I can coast." That mentality has destroyed more promising relationships than infidelity ever has. An emotionally mature man hears the we language and reinforces it with his own. He sees her sacrifice and meets it with equal generosity. He notices the small, silent things she does, and he acknowledges them, not because there's a social script telling him to, but because he understands at a cellular level that love unreciprocated will eventually starve. He guards what she shares with his life. He earns the respect of her circle through consistent character, not performance. He doesn't just receive, he pours back. And most critically, he does not require a woman to prove her love 17 different ways across 14 months before he decides she's worth committing to. Because here's what men need to understand. She is evaluating you with the same intensity you're evaluating her, perhaps more. And a woman who gives and gives and gives without receiving anything meaningful in return will eventually redirect that love towards someone who actually has the capacity to honor it. And you will not get a warning. You will get a goodbye.
So here's my challenge to every single man watching this right now. I want you to think, honestly, unflinchingly, about the woman currently in your life, or maybe the woman who used to be in your life. How many of these signs did she show you? How many of these signals were firing right in front of you while you stood there blind? And I want you to sit inside the discomfort of that answer. Don't run from it. Don't rationalize it. Just sit there, because the truth is, some of you are watching this video right now and a realization is landing in your chest like a stone. You already had what you've been searching for. She was right there. She was doing everything. She was giving you every signal a human being can possibly give. And you let her walk away because you were holding out for something louder, something shinier, something that looked more like what you'd been told love was supposed to look like. This is where most people get it catastrophically wrong. They believe love is about finding the right person. It is not. Love is about recognizing the right person when they're already standing in front of you. And recognition demands something most people are unwilling to offer: emotional presence. It requires you to put down the distractions, silence the noise, kill the ego, and actually see the human being who has been choosing you day after day without you ever choosing her back.
Now, I already know this video is going to split this comment section straight down the middle. Some of you are going to feel every word in your bones. Some of you are going to push back hard. And honestly, that's exactly what needs to happen, because comfortable conversations don't change anyone. So here's what I need from you right now. Drop a comment and tell me, what is the single biggest sign a woman showed you love and you completely missed it? What's the one thing she did that you didn't appreciate until it was too late? And if you're a woman watching this, I want to hear your side. Which of these signs have you shown a man who still couldn't see it? What did that feel like? Tell me your story, because the comment section of this video has the potential to save somebody's relationship tonight. If this video made you feel something, whether that's conviction, recognition, regret, or even raw anger, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel right now. Turn on every notification, because we don't do shallow, comfortable conversations here. We go deep, we go honest, and sometimes we go exactly where it hurts the most, because that's where the growth lives. I'll see you in the next one.